When somebody plays Beethoven poorly, who do you blame? You don't blame Beethoven. You blame the player. So when somebody plays Christ poorly, who do you blame? You don't blame Christ. You blame the people that play Christ. And none of us as Christians play Christ perfectly. We're all fallen. If we weren't fallen, we wouldn't need a Savior. In fact, I said to Christopher Hitchens in one of our debates, I said, Christopher, I'm a hypocrite. I can't live up to what Jesus said. But if I could, I wouldn't need him. And so when people tell me I can't go to church because there's too many hypocrites down there, I always say, come on down, pal. We got room for one more.
I chose to start with this video because of certain individuals that leave out the persons they should talk to or the persons that they should be praying for, and they want to vent their frustration on me. I mean, I've got no hand in it. Now, if I see a story on the internet and I brought it and I did some kind of analysis, I didn't put the information there, I didn't put the story there. I didn't take Suleman to the internet. These things have been there. A lot of them were there even before I started doing what I'm doing. And all of them would probably remain there till forever. In fact, till Jesus comes. So many of them will be there. You know, even his great-grandchildren may grow up to one day do some kind of search on their great-grandfather, and they will find something like this there. You know, so I didn't put it out there. But there are certain individuals that are so hypocritical, and, you know, they just don't want to, live, you know, facing the fact. They just want to live in denials. And when they look around and they don't find anybody to blame, instead of blaming the right person, they want to turn the heat on me. Now, I want to tell you this. I'm not doing this because of hatred. And neither have I told you that, you know, I've achieved perfection. Yes, but perfection is actually possible. And we all are striving. But what we're looking at is when flaws and, you know, weaknesses graduates to what we can call wickedness. Now, it is normal. It is possible for a child of God to stumble and fall. And if you ever see me make fun of any Christian that stumbled and fell, then know that I have not been saved, because that is not me. But when it becomes so consistent with one person and the same pattern all of the time, then it becomes a modus, and it is no longer a mere, you know, mistake or a fall. It is a lifestyle. So with this, I want to frantically and sincerely welcome you to this video. But then before you go into the video, I want to give you a prophecy of what is going to happen in this video. Then you will know that, you know, the prophetic is real. Now, the prophecy is this, that I see myself turning and changing. In the next video of myself, you will see the same clothes, the same environment, but the white hair and the overgrown beards, all of them coming back. That is prophetic, isn't it? You will see wonders. You are welcome to the End Time Truth Television, the channel for the lovers of truth, for the truth of the end time. So if you are a lover of truth, give us a subscription, and God bless you. Shalom. Hello out there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, God bless you. I don't have much to say in this video. This is a video I've done part 1, part 2. This is the part 3. It should have been in the part 2, but because of the length of the video. So if you have not watched the part 1 and part 2, you may not understand this, most especially if you have not watched the part 2. So look for the part 2, the same title, the same topic, the same thumbnail. Watch it before you watch this. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Don't forget to put in your reaction. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Because these issues keep coming up, and it's interesting. I find it really interesting that after 1 year that I came out to tell my truth, this truth is still relevant. You know, that's one thing that I find really interesting. I find it really interesting. And for somewhat reason, I feel this heavy weight off my chest every time this man comes up in the media. And I can't but give God Almighty the glory for chastising me, for putting that burden in my heart to come out and say my truth, irrespective of how ugly it sounded, irrespective of who, did not approve. Trust me, it was one of the biggest decisions I had to make, one of the biggest sacrifices I had to make for myself. It wasn't easy. Nobody wants to come out and say their ugly secrets. Trust me, nobody. Anyone who thinks that they don't have, I don't even think there's anyone that doesn't have an ugly secret. There's basically no human being on earth. But when you're a spiritual person, when you're spiritually alert, and for Christians, the Holy Spirit is on your case and needs you to say something. You just have to.
All right, so this video is not about Chioma, but if you want to know the exact thing that Chioma said in this video, check the part 2 that was released yesterday. Now, this has to do with Halimar Abubakar, and there was a connection, there was a link. There was something that Chioma said, and, in this case, in this matter that has to do with Johnson Suleman and Halimar Abubakar and some persons in the Nollywood industries, and you and me as well. So if you want to get the full gist of that, please check the part 2 of this video. Without wasting so much time, let's launch into the video. All right, I'm not going to say anything about what Chioma said. You heard her yourself. Now, the problem with this thing is that it is occurring and reoccurring and reoccurring and reoccurring again and again. Now, like I said, I wish that these things are not true. If you see the heart of my heart, I wish that it is not true. But even when it is not true, now the issue is this. Asking somebody who has not backed down, you wrote a letter. I wouldn't know who made it public. Who did they serve the letter to? Where did they get Halimar Abubakar to give her the letter? Did they go to her house to give her the letter? Or was this thing a social media thing, propaganda, that should spread over the social media so that the general public would see that Suleman is no longer keeping quiet? So, sometimes I ask myself, who is this guy paying, giving him some kind of advice? Because if I were in his camp, I wouldn't advise that they take this option. Now, all right, so this part of the video will basically be dealing on the fact that Suleman had given Halimar 3 days ultimatum to back down and to apologize. And the response from, is it Halimar or her sister, or should I say from her camp, because they have actually responded. And before I forget, I hope you saw that my prophecy came to fulfillment. Give me a thumbs up. Now look at what was written. I'm going to read from PM News. PM News is also reputable, and it is no longer news, so it is not a lie that this thing was done. PM News, this thing was written on 29th of September 2022. That's why I said it is no longer news to some of you. But the letter itself was written on the 28th of September 2022. And the letter was titled Defamatory Statements Concerning Apostle Johnson Suleman, Notice to Cease and Desist. It was dated, like I told you, September 28th and signed by Rodney Adzwanaga, his lawyer. Now, Suleman's lawyer. I'm going to read to you what is contained in it. Dear Ms. Halimar Abubakar, our client is an apostle and the senior pastor of the Omega Fire and Miracle Ministry International, with branches in all states of Nigeria and several countries of the world. By virtue of his apostolic calling and reach, he has several millions of followers who look up to him and his ministry for spiritual guidance and direction. It reads in part. Now it continues. It is our brief that you caused to be published malicious, defamatory, and demeaning statements about our clients in several microblog sites, chiefly Gist Lover and your Instagram handle Halimar Abubakar, which have wider reach within Nigeria and the world. These statements made by you, knowing fully well that they are false, untrue, malicious, defamatory, baseless, and a tool of blackmail of our client, impugn the reputation of our client and reduce him in the eyes of responsible and right-thinking members of the society. In the letter, Suleman asked the actress to retract her earlier comments in a statement to be published via social media and 5 national dailies. These are the conditions given to Halimar Abubakar and her camp. The cleric also asked Halimar to sign an undertaking indicating her willingness to stop spreading defamatory statements against him. He added that legal action will be instituted against the actress if she fails to comply with his demands within 3 days. Now, this is it. Please be informed that in the event you fail to comply with this cease and desist notice and accede to the aforestated demands within the aforementioned 3 days, we have further legal instructions to issue the writ of summons against you and 600 reliefs for defamation, including money dues. It's added. Halimar is yet to react as at this time, but interestingly, Halimar's camp has actually reacted, and this is their reaction. Now, remember I told you that the first people that actually made mention of court, see you in court, was the notice I brought you when the woman claimed that Johnson Suleman got her sister engaged. According to the post said that was being Halimar's Instagram page was being managed by her sister. I am not my sister, I am her manager, so let's be guided, please. At least being human is still a thing. I will stand with her, I will fight for her. We are a united family. We will see you in court, Johnson Imodu. Now, whether Imodu is Suleman's other name, I don't know, but I only know him as Johnson Suleman. Now, maybe this is trying to drive something home, drive a point home that we know you even to the name that nobody know you with. So he said, you gave my sister a ring for God's sake. So here, Halimar, or Halimar's sister, was actually ready to go to court. Now, how then do you give somebody like this an ultimatum to stop publishing what they are publishing? If not, you take them to court. Except that we will be shocked at the end of it to find out that Halimar Abubakar and her camp doesn't have anything on Suleman. Now, talking about going to court, it is his civic right. It is his right to seek redress in court, and at least this is more honorable than using police to hound and intimidate and harass people. But then, this cannot be done to this kind of a person because she also is highly connected. Now, the reason we are hearing all these things is because the lady is allegedly sick, and there is the kind of sickness that no matter how connected you are, no matter how much rich you are, you cannot be saved except there is divine intervention, except there is miracle. Because if life was to be bought, Nigerian politicians would even buy the ones that white children unborn would have bought. Now, they will finish buying the ones for us here in Nigeria, and they will go overseas and begin to buy. So, but life cannot be bought with money. So now, Halimar Abubakar is not the kind of a person that might be used police to intimidate, to harass. And so this might be an option that they think maybe they can take. But unfortunately, Halimar's camp has not backed down. They said, sure, see you in court, JS. Now, so what does this portend for our darling apostle? Now, you see, I have said something often and on here, and some persons have attacked me for it and have been threatened for it. Now, it doesn't make sense that you threaten me because I say my opinion. Now, I have not come out here to pin anything on Johnson Suleman and said, Johnson Suleman, I caught you red-handed. Johnson Suleman, it is true, you have slept with all these women that have been mentioned. All I have been saying and asking has been, why should he be the only person? Now, the last time I told you that some person said is because of his affiliation with Idahosa, Archbishop Benson Idahosa. Someone came, to tell me that, that the fact that there was no social media, in the days and time of Archbishop Benson Idahosa that presently Suleman has, achieved more popularity than Archbishop Benson Idahosa. And so because of that, more, there is a possibility for his scandals or his weaknesses to have been thrown up. Now, but I actually choose to disagree. Even when there was no social media, Benson Idahosa was it was a household name. Now, I don't know the president of any country that did not actually know Benson Idahosa when he was alive. I'm not saying this because, I wasn't his apostle. I was quite young even when he died. All right. But I started hearing of Archbishop Benson Idahosa quite early in my life. I started hearing about him at least as early as 1990 was when I started hearing about Archbishop Benson Idahosa. And this was the man that could walk to Babangida then. So telling us that Apostle Johnson Suleman now is more popular than Archbishop Benson Idahosa, there is nobody that Benson Idahosa raised. I'm telling you the truth. Now, those that claim that he was their father, none of them has gotten to the point where that man got to. I'm not going to say much because I understand that if we have anything like Benson Idahosa, please, you may have anything against him, but I'm just telling you the truth. You see, the nonsense, the Islamic nonsense that is happening in Nigeria now would have started happening long time ago. But I will stop with them. So popularity should not be the reason why scandals should be our other name, our second name. Now, listen, Bishop Oyedepo is also popular. Pastor Adeboye is popular. Pastor W.F. Kumuyi is popular. Pastor Dr. David Olukoya is popular. Dr. Nenshe is popular. Ibiyome is popular. Now, Chris Oyakilome is popular. Now, if we're talking about popularity, these are men that are popular in their own sense. But you may have one or two things against any of them, but not scandals in this magnitude. So my question is, why should it be just him? The other person said it's because Johnson Suleman is traveling and hosting crusades. Crusades, I understand that, but I have given you another reason in that video. So watch that video. That should not be the reason why somebody can be scandalous. Now, is it possible for people, maybe one or two persons, here and there, to rise up and cook up stories against a servant of God in order to bring him down? It is quite possible. I heard a story of a people who conspired and they went to one of these pastors I mentioned. A man that is so disciplined. I will stop it there. And a woman entered his office and there was a cameraman standing, from the window side. And what they wanted to do was, the woman was to grab him and put her lips on his lips immediately. And the cameraman was already standing by to shoot. And once they shoot, it will be everywhere. Now, but as the woman was bringing herself to grab the man turned and was like, "What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do?" Now, what the photographer could get was his backside. Now, we know that these things can happen. But you see, lies don't last for ages. There is the extent a lie will travel, it will die. But this one is not dying. This one is stopping, another one is coming up. One is starting, another one is coming up. And they don't give way, they don't die. They don't stay like that. There are so many of them. Now, I have also said in one of my videos that it is possible that these things happened in the past. And there is a way to handle these things. Now, the reason this letter was given, you read it with me there, it was because of people's perception. How are people seeing the apostle? Those that are, following him, which is very important. Our image is very, very important. But what does God think of us? I think that should be more important. You see, I can come here on social media and paint myself to be a saint, and paint myself and make myself to be holy, so that you from the other end see me, will say, this brother is holy, this brother is wonderful, this brother is this and that and that. But then I should be able to think, how does God see me? For we have a song that we sing, approved by men, but disapproved by God. Now, on the day of reckoning, many people will stand and will be shocked. Because when they will appear before God, they would have realized, there is no time for me to sing now, they would have realized that their approval was of men, but God has disapproved them. So it becomes very, very important that anybody that is human should actually mind and think of, what does God think of me? So, in as much as it is impossible for us to care, about how we are perceived, but if truly I have not done anything, and somebody or some persons have risen up to write things about me, to castigate me, it will hurt. I won't stay here to tell you that it is easy to endure. It is not easy, but the fact is that God, who called me as an apostle, as a prophet, hey, he does. Why will people, you see, this is what I don't get. I keep having people who come here to tell me how God will destroy me, how God will deal with me because I am talking about their purpose. Now, is it just me now that God will deal with? Why not, okay, let God deal with these people who are doing these things and let Papa do the right thing. You see, when we talk about foundation, some persons will misunderstand us. When we talk about, people working on their foundation, because the battle you didn't fight and conquer lives to wait your generation unborn. Now, foundation has a way of destroying people. Foundation has a way of waiting for you tomorrow in the future. Now, but if you have not dealt with certain things in your life, they have a way of ambushing you in the future. Now, what foundation? Somebody will tell me, but if a man be in Christ, all things are passed away. All things are passed away. Behold, all things are new. Excellent. You are correct. It is true. But I also remember that there was a battle that David had won already. God has given him this victory already. David needed to go and fight. In 1 Samuel chapter 30, there David returned with his people from a raid, and they discovered that his city in Ziklag was, bundled, and their children and their wives were taken away. Now, they became demoralized. Now, watch it. There was a victory ahead for David. His men were even thinking of stoning him. But David, the Bible said, encouraged himself in the Lord. David encouraged himself in the Lord and asked of the Lord, shall I go? Shall I recover? God said, go, for you shall without fail recover everything. And he went. And somebody may say, okay, that is an Old Testament. Listen, I know that when Jesus said it is finished, all finished. But you see, the devil will not just easily, okay, it's finished. Oh yeah, go, just go like that. He will put up a fight. So there are foundations that we must need to deal with. If we don't deal with them today, it waits for us tomorrow. The only surprising thing I found out, about us Christians is that some of us love to live in denial. Listen, in the New Testament, Jesus said that right from the time of John the Baptist till now, it didn't end yesterday. It didn't end with John the Baptist. From the time of John the Baptist till now, the kingdoms of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent takes it by force. Oh, you want to tell me that Jesus has not died by then? Apostle Paul said that our battle is not a carnal one. And we have a weapon of our warfare. So if there is no need for us to do warfare, why don't we have a warfare, and the instruments of war that are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds? And remember that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So there is the concept that we must wrestle. So Jesus had paid the price. It finished. But we must go to get it. We must go to possess this freedom that Jesus has given to us. So what I think the apostles should do is not actually to do this thing. Me, I don't see them going to court. If they go to court, it is because if I don't go to court now, this girl has challenged me. This girl has challenged me. He said, see you in court. Instead of her begging, instead of her writing. These are the things that she will not write. These are the things we have even been told that Halimar is sick. Halimar is sick. That is what they said. And the person who probably even responded might not be Halimar according to what is happening. We don't know how sick Halimar has been. But the thing is that the camp, they are ready. And mind you, if you're talking about connection, I'm sure that she is also connected. her sister talked about state government. So, somebody like that is not somebody that can be threatened easily and cheaply like that. Well, I think they say where two elephants fight, I wouldn't know the grass that will suffer this one now. Which grass will suffer? The grass that will suffer may be those that believe in two of them. As the whole thing begins to unfold in our very eyes, we shall live to see it all. But what I advise is that I wish that the grace of God will be given to this our beloved apostle, that he will swallow some kind of human ego and pride and do certain things. See, if this thing is of the Lord, it will not stop soon. If it is of the Lord, it's not going to stop soon. If it is the devil taking advantage to get even with somebody, and one is not dealing with it accordingly. You see, I have told you here that the devil, the Bible said, is accuser of the brethren, but the devil doesn't accuse the brethren what they have not done. He comes with pure truth of what they have done. The case of Joshua the high priest, is a very clear one. But the difference here is that there is the Lord that will rebuke the accuser of the brethren if we have aligned ourselves with the Lord after going astray. Because the Lord said to Satan, the Lord rebuke you, Satan, even the Lord rebuke you. Is this one not a brand plucked from the fire? Which means that the guy had gone through fire. He has suffered enough for his sin. That is why you must be very, very careful when you want to equate some of these pastors, their actions with David. You want to tell me David, after all, was a man after God's heart. Even when he committed adultery, he killed the man and all that. Yeah, he was a man after God's heart. But I want to ask you, will you be ready to go through what David went through? Because of the killing of Uriah, David lost that child of adultery. David lost Amnon. David lost Absalom. David lost Jonadab and because the Bible said that he was going to pay in fourfold. Was it in fourfold? In fourfold. So he lost four sons. And part of the humiliation was that for that, David was sent out from his throne for 3 months. He ran from his enemy, his own son, for 3 months. And guess what? David's wives and concubines got openly, disgraced. His own son went in unto his wives in the open glare of the children of Israel. That was, will you be ready? If your pastors are ready to go through this, then keep on equating them with David. But there is one significant thing with David. David never went back to his vomit. He never committed an offense that he was rebuked for twice. And he was a man of broken heart. And that was why he was endeared to God. How many of us can fall before a subject? Because Nathan, as much as David was concerned, was the subject. But he fell before a subject and said, of a truth, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said, the Lord also has forgiven you. Because his heart smote him, he repented. Now, can we boldly say that we can turn around like David said, hey, this video has become too long. I wished I could do it in 3 parts, but because of so many people that will only watch 3 minutes and 4 minutes and 5 minutes and they'll come and comment. But then thank you anyway. Let me know what you think of this. I can speak for 1 hour on this, but it doesn't make sense because how many people are ready and willing to adapt and to sit and watch till then? Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section, please. Put down your comment in the comment section. Tell us what you think about it. And like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so before. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, from me to you, shalom.